Okay, so I stumbled a little bit, so I had to re-record this section. So when you are done with the soapstone aspect of the presentation, you're going to have 3 slides, one for ethos, one for pathos, and one for logos in the speech. And on the slide itself, you're just going to have the text of the speech. You're not going to have any of the analysis that you're going to provide. It's simply the text on the screen. So for me, I'm going to just show you pathos, and what you could do is replicate this for pathos, logos, and ethos in your speech. So my speech is, my excerpt is here. We have come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now, etc., to the end. And after you have read that section, you could talk about the rhetorical device that appears there. So for me, when I look at pathos or an emotional response in this passage, a couple of phrases stick out to me. Right off the bat, this first phrase, the hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is in front of the Lincoln Memorial, so it is something that is very meaningful to American history, and for Dr. King to deliver the speech in this spot should have an extra weight to it. But what I really wanted to focus on was these 2 sentences down here. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. And those two phrases, I think, really try to provoke, or rather evoke, an emotional response in us as the audience. The first phrase, the dark and desolate valley of segregation, I think shows that we are in dark times, and I think it's trying to introduce some element of shame to the audience for recognizing where the country is, or where the country was at that point, and trying to make them feel bad for what they had let happen, especially in the years after the Civil War, leading up to the Civil Rights Movement, decades of injustice. And I think Dr. King is doing that to motivate us to change. I think the pointing out the shame of our mistakes is a good motivation. But he also ends with the phrase, the sunlit path of racial justice. So he has those opposing images, the dark imagery with the light imagery here. And I think that's meant to help inspire us too, that we have erred, we've made a mistake in our way, but there's a better path to follow. In terms of thematically, this passage, I think, really ties into the idea of brotherhood, so much so that he even mentions the idea of brotherhood at the end of the passage. And at this point, I think he's trying to unite all of us together. And by using pathos, especially those lines that I just talked about, he's drawing upon an emotional response to the light and dark imagery of our times and of the speech itself to hopefully get us to come together to motivate, rather to bring about some type of change in the world. So for your analysis, you could do something like that. I would definitely take a little bit of time to prepare. I had some notes on my desk to help me along with that as well. But know what you want to say before you start recording. If you mess up, it's okay. There's a button to pause, or you could simply just delete that video and start new again. If you have any trouble, you could reach out to us for help, and we could put you on the right path there. But for now, I'm going to leave you guys with that, and you could start doing your own rhetorical analysis of your speech.